So after a week of being gone from Kagurabachi, after a week of mourning, Hokuzono decides to drop the biggest bomb of the series yet. We finally know why Rokuhira decides to make those enchanted blades. And it's all to stop Chiaki from being impregnated. Would you believe it? Holy shit, guys. What a chapter. The amount of lore that got dropped on us. Here I am thinking that Hokuzono is going to give us a little slow burner chapter, a mourning chapter. After all the chaos and destruction that occurred in the Hiroshima talks, I thought we were going to slow it down a bit. But Hokuzono decides to put his foot on the gas more than ever. Okay? It is ridiculous, guys. And with this chapter, we can finally start to see where the next couple chapters are going to take us and how the whole formation of the blades is going to begin. We see that fire being lit under Rokuhira and Shiba as well, okay? Don't forget, he is alive and well, and he is coming for revenge, all right? Thank you guys so much for joining me. Today, we are talking Kagurabachi Chapter 122. All right, y'all, the break is over. Hallelujah. Let's jump right into it. We've been waiting for this chapter since last week, and we got a lot to talk about, okay? We pick up the chapter finally seeing Rokuhira and Subaru again, okay? And it seems like they've just been developing this kind of bond while everybody's been on the island doing the Hiroshima talks. And we pick up with Rokuhira having some rice balls, okay? And basically, Subaru and Rokuhira are discussing the contents of Subaru's book. If you remember, Subaru wrote this Master Swordsman book, but he revealed that it was all a bunch of dookie, right? It was all just a bunch of hooky dookie that he wrote for fun, basically. None of it's true. And Rokuhira, he actually confronts Subaru about this, right? He says, all that stuff in your book, it was totally wrong. Like, you wasted my time. I want my money back. But this is when Subaru says the purpose of the book was for the real swordsmiths to see through the bullshit and develop a strong internal logic. They developed a better understanding because through the trial and error of the book, they realized, okay, this is just a bunch of crap. I got to do something else, right? And Subaru, he really gives Rokuhira his flowers, right? Like, he calls all the guys lightweights, and that was the way that Rokuhira was able to truly refine his swordsmanship, right? And Subaru even says to Rokuhira, he says, if you practiced out in the open, a swordsmith of your caliber would earn high accolades in no time. So he can already see that Rokuhira's swords are crazy work, right? Like, they are incredibly made. And we already seen that when he was inspecting Mashiro's sword. He's seen the work of the blade, and he was very impressed, right? So this is where we get more insight into Rokuhira. And he's always been this way, right? He's always been very cautious of the blades he makes, because even though he's made hundreds of blades, he's only given away like a couple of them, right? The guy is basically living in poverty because he's not selling any of his swords. And Subaru's like, well, you could be making a crazy living because your swordsmanship it's incredible, right? Your work is beautiful. But Rokuhira says, I don't want to just make blades and sell them to anybody, you know? Like, we should continually struggle to forge blades to protect people. So he's always had this drive in him that even though you're forging swords, it needs to be forged for the right purpose, the right reason. You can't just be forging swords and handing that kind of power to anybody, right? Not that it's a power, but you really have to be careful with who you arm with your swords, especially if you're making like swords like Rokuhira, right? And you know, he says it scares me, you know? And this is when Subaru asks Rokuhira, he says, you have a goal, right? And Rokuhira says he wants to forge the greatest sword ever, right? And when Subaru says, what do you mean the greatest sword ever? Rokuhira himself doesn't even know, right? He says, I don't really know, but I just have to keep forging them. And he's prepared to make thousands, right? Which is crazy. And boom, with the Detenseki, we already know where this is going, guys. I cannot wait to see the first blade. It's most definitely Magatsumi. There's no other way it could be any other blade, you know? Absolutely not. But this is when we pretty much switch over to the morning part of the chapter, right? And we get a picture of Shiba and the whole gang that got sent to the island. And this is March 20th, post-Hiroshima conference. Toga Shiba returned to headquarters with the corpses of 6 conference attendees. Remember, Shiba's the only one that survived. And guys, the condition that Shiba's in is no joke, all right? We learned that he's suffering more than 20 broken bones, internal injuries. Like, he took bare hits. Like, that he's alive is actually a miracle, right? And this is when we see at the Sorcery Bureau, they're discussing what happened on the island, right? And boom, the Mikoboshi. Of course, this is the topic of discussion, and basically they're talking about their demands. And as we all know, they wanted the Japanese basically to relinquish all rights of the Detenseki. They can't mine it. They have to give up all the lands they have over it, and they won't mine it for like another 1,000 years, right? Something like that. But we learn about the final version, and we see what really happened with Shiba and Aryu at the end of the last chapter, when Aryu just dragged Shiba up and gave the rest of the demands. And we see that Aryu, right, he starts going on this long triad about the Soga clan, right, and how the Soga clan, thanks to them, they basically sunk the Mikoboshi with the Kurotsuchi, right? And he says the Soga are alive and well. But then he says something interesting, right? He says, to this day, they have a princess, don't they, right? And we learn that the Shokoku's ultimate demand was the Detenseki that was being mined on Hiroshima. But not only that, they want Princess Soga, okay? They want Chiaki. So they're like, what's going on? Like, why would they want Chiaki, right? Like, we know that they want revenge against us, but the system that maintains order among the sorcerers of the nation, it's governed with a long history. And Princess Soga, she's essentially the heart of that system, right? So if you take Princess Soga, you crumble the entire system from within, right? And that's what they assumed the Mikoboshi's goal to be, right? Remove Princess Soga and you can destroy the Soga clan from the inside. But this is when we get another wrinkle, because it's not just that cut and dry that they just want to take Princess Soga and destroy the clan. Because on top of taking Princess Soga, Aryu's father, that old man, he says the blood of the princess has value and she's going to bear his child. And after that, they're going to slaughter the Soga clan. And I'm like, what? Bomboka! No wonder Rokuhira's so intent on getting those blades out. Rokuhira heard that Chiaki was gonna be sold to some old man, not even sold, but like, you know, like taken, and then gonna be used to breed some old man's baby. Oh my God, this guy is probably fuming. He's like, yo, I'm about to kill them all, bro. No wonder he made the enchanted blades so devious, bruv. The guy was trying to slaughter them all. And we all know at this point that Chiaki is most definitely Chihiro's mom. So he heard that somebody was trying to move in on his territory, and Rokuhira said, fuck that. Oh my God, he wasn't playing. So this is the reason enchanted blades were made. It's ridiculous, okay? But anyway, they say that the sorcery lives in the blood, and the sorcery contains the legacy. So in other words, their goal is dominion, to wield the blood of the Soga and to usurp their power. So they're gonna destroy the Soga clan, steal their power, bruv. Yo, the Mikoboshi aren't playing. The revenge quest they're on, bro, this is like 1,000 years in their making, and they have the power to do it. Who's gonna stop them right now? They're using the power of the Detenseki. The guys at the Sorcery Bureau, they hardly even understand it. They've barely even been able to crack it. You know what I mean? So they're going up against an insurmountable force right now. It's absolutely crazy. And you can see that as they're discussing, right? And they're very confused. They're like, oh my goodness, how could they know the workings of our underworld? You know, like, how do they know all this? And apparently some guy unrelated to the government, but they got the information out of some dude, right? And this is when we learn that the princess, she fell unconscious the moment the conference ended, right? It just seems like it was too much for her. But after they delivered the message, she still had a vision that came to her, right? And the vision is rough, right? We get a glimpse of Ryu with Sumika, it looks like he's using, and Chiaki is saying that there's going to be hell on earth. So maybe she had a glimpse of the war, like maybe she actually seen some of the war and she was like, oh shit, like I know what's about to come, and it's about to be like insane, because I don't know, like she doesn't say much. All she says is there's gonna be hell on earth, and we know that that war was pretty brutal. And she's not seeing anything in the past, like she's only seeing the future. So oof. But the government, obviously, they rejected all of the Mikoboshi's demands. They obviously can't accept that. But the government, it intends to expand anti-sorcery strategic force, right? And they're basically just trying to amp themselves up with more soldiers, right? It's really not enough. Hiroto, he was the strongest clan in the Soga clan, and Ryu just dog walked him, right? The guy says, alone, Hiroto could dismantle a powerful dynasty. And not only Hiroto, we sent 3 other fighters just as capable of him. They were the strongest unit that we ever assembled. And this prince, whatever he is, Ryu, bruv, he manhandled all of them, okay? Dog walked all of them. At the end of the fight, he was lounging on the sofa, completely unscathed. And he literally sent a single warrior back for a message. If not for that message, he wouldn't have left any survivors, okay? He needed someone to deliver that message. And that's the only reason that Shiba's alive, right? And plus, and not only are you, they have 5 more warriors of the same caliber. Those four other guys that were behind Ryu before Ryu even started fighting. Same level. The guy says this isn't just something we can throw more soldiers at. And I'm like, yeah, not really. This is really going up against a gun with like a feather. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the most apt description I can put, because these guys, they don't stand a chance. Not a single chance. Not as they are right now, without the enchanted blades. But again, Rokuhira, my man's is coming in. Don't sleep on him, okay? So basically, it just breaks out into an argument about what to do, right? Everybody has different ideas, but at the end of the day, it's all null and void. Nothing's gonna work. You need something of the same caliber of the Detenseki to be able to combat these guys. And unless you have that, nothing's working. You literally threw your toughest soldiers at them, and it didn't even make them flinch. It didn't make them budge. You know, like, this is the time to get serious. And this is when we pick up with Rokuhira, and he's visiting Shiba, right? And we see Shiba, even though we heard all his injuries, internal, 20 broken bones, my man Shiba is already up and at him, okay? He's getting dressed. He's getting ready to go. Rokuhira's like, bro, like, should you even be up right now? And Shiba's like, I have to get up. And behind Shiba, or in front of Shiba, Rokuhira sees Mashiro's sword, you know? And it's just, it's a moment, you know? Shiba lost a lot. He lost Mashiro, who he spent years with. Hiroto, you know, who I'm sure he was accustomed to Hiroto and Gantetsutai. You know, even if they weren't very close, I'm sure they were still comrades that he cared for. You know, so to literally watch all of them die, I'm sure the survivor's guilt is like crazy for Shiba right now, right? And we see Hasumi, the force that annihilated Japan's strongest unit in history. It was the power of the Detenseki, which is what we're saying. They're too strong. The way they utilized the Detenseki, the enemy harnessed the astronomical energy of the Detenseki with their sorcery. And the guy says, but that's not all it is though. The power of the Detenseki, it's the enemy's only advantage. That's it. And the guy says, what are you trying to say? That our only winning strategy is to utilize the Detenseki? And he says, in that case, we're going to have to get our answer. And this is when we see Shiba asking Rokuhira, how much did Mr. Masumi tell you? And Rokuhira says, everything. Right? So Rokuhira knows what's going on. He heard about the clan, which, whatever, you know, he was going to hear it anyway from Shiba, for somebody else. Doesn't matter how he found out. He was going to find out. And this is where we see the Sorcery Bureau guys. They're saying, you think there's a way? And we see the Enchanted Blade plan. And Rokuhira is right there. Next chapter, we better get an Enchanted Blade. Rokuhira, this guy is on fire right now. He's like, hell to the hell no. He's about to pump them enchanted blades out, grab Chiaki, put Chihiro inside of her. You know what I mean? Like, he's not playing no games, bro. Rokuhira heard that his girl was in trouble, and he's like, fuck no, I'm about to kill all of these motherfuckers, bro. Woo! The build-up. Guys, Hokuzono is truly an artist, okay? The Hiroshima talks was absolutely ridiculous, okay? Straight action, straight violence, straight death, all right? Now, it's about to get serious. We're about to see the pumping out of the blades. Akamura's about to be brought in. Samura's about to be brought in. I want to see the rest of the sword bearers. And you know what's crazy? Even when that panel of the sword bearers, it looked like Chiaki's in that panel, right? Of the sword bearers. So I'm like, huh? Is Chiaki gonna be a sword? Is she a sword? Is she a sword bearer? On top of being the Soga clan princess? Ain't no way. Yo, I'm ready to see these blades come out, and I'm ready to see this war. It's about to get crazy. Magatsumi next chapter, hopefully, guys. Drop your theories down below. What do you think the order of the blades is gonna be? Like, we've already seen like 3 of them, or 4, like 5 actually. You know, we've got Cloud Gouger, Kumiyuri. What's that Samura's blade? What's Samura's blade again? Oh my god. With the T. Oh, Tobimune, right? We've seen Tobimune, right? We got Magatsumi, Cloud Gouger, okay? Well, how much blades did he make again? Like 7? So I think there's like 2 more. We don't know what Subaru's blade was, right? We haven't seen that power. We haven't seen Chiaki's, because she's a sword bearer as well. And, there's also Uraha's blade. Uraha, right? Yeah, Uraha's a sword bearer too. Yeah. So yo, I think there's only like two blades that we haven't seen. Like, guys, the way this is going, 10, 20 chapters. This is like the best flashback arc ever. I'm super loving it. This is absolutely crazy, guys. Drop your theories down below. Drop your comments down below. Oof, Kagurabachi, guys. Thumbs up. Thumbs crossed, okay? Fingers crossed for Magatsumi next chapter. I'm so eager to see the first Enchanted Blade made. And they finally brought in the Enchanted Blade plan, so it can't be too much longer. Cannot. But what are y'all thinking? Where do you think the story's gonna go? Another 7 days. We gotta wait. But peak is always worth waiting for, my boys. I appreciate all y'all for watching. If you stayed this long, hit that subscribe button for me, and I will be back with another one.